Hey, Jim Wolf here, and welcome to How to Live Without Regret. I'm so glad that you decided to join us. I'm going to give you 3 main ideas, and then I've got a really cool bonus for you. So let's begin. How to live without regret. Number 1, fear regret more than failure. Fear regret more than failure. The amount that you express yourself and live without regret and do the things that you really want to do in your life is directly related to how much you fear regret versus how much you fear failure. And I'd like to encourage you to grow your fear of regret and shrink your fear of failure. And I think that our fear of failure starts out as a really good thing. It starts from our biological urge to survive. It's really good to be afraid of a tiger that's running straight for you, who might be a little bit hungry. That's a really good thing. We don't want to die. We want to keep living. We want to survive. And so that's the root of the fear of failure, is just fear in general, fear of death. And so it's a really good thing that can go wrong when you're talking about getting to the end of your life and having a lot of regrets. So ask yourself, is this thing that I'm afraid of something that's actually going to prevent me from surviving? Like jumping off a cliff? You should probably be afraid of that. Or is it something that's trying to protect my ego, trying to keep me psychologically safe? That's just an extension of the fear of death that we have. And you can manage that extension because these things are not going to kill you. They're going to allow you to grow. They're going to allow you to do more. They're going to allow you to live without regret. And so I highly encourage you to fear regret a lot more than you fear failure. Because when you get to the end of your life, you're not going to care about looking silly. You're not going to care about embarrassing yourself. What you're going to care about is that you didn't do the things that you wanted to do. That's what you're going to regret. And I don't want that for you. One of the top 5 regrets of the dying is that they didn't live the way they wanted to live. They lived the way everyone else thought they should. And one of the reasons for that is because they fear failure. And they fear losing the approval of other people. When you do something that you really want to do, because you'll regret it if you don't, you might not get positive feedback from the world at first. It might not work out the way you want it to at first. But there's a way to deal with that. And so number 2 is to have a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. So number 2, have a growth mindset instead of having a fixed mindset. And what this means is that if you have a growth mindset, you understand that most human qualities can be developed. They're not inborn. They're not things that we're just born with. You know, so many people out there think that charisma is something that you're just born with, for example. And Olivia Fox Cabane wrote a book called The Charisma Myth that shows that that's just not true. You can learn to be charismatic. We just have a tendency to think things are inborn and they're fixed because then we don't have to work on ourselves. We don't have to grow. We have an excuse for not living the life that we really want to live. But we don't want excuses and we don't want regrets. We want to live without regret. So now we're just going to adopt a growth mindset and realize that we can develop the qualities that we want to have. And we can act in spite of fear and live the life we really want to live. And having a growth mindset allows you to do that. Because if you have a fixed mindset, if you try something and fail, it's because of your internal qualities. And who wants to experience the failure of their most internal core self? Nobody. So if you have a fixed mindset and you make a mistake, you think it's just because you're the kind of person who makes mistakes, or you're a bad person, or you're not whatever ideal that you're trying to live up to. That's a very unhealthy mindset, and I think a lot of people have a fixed mindset in Western culture. They did a study a while back with school children, and they gave them a task, and then they rated the children on their performance on that task. And what the researchers in that study found is that the children who attributed how they did on that task just to that one task itself, just to that one context, and they had a growth mindset, did significantly better in a lot of different areas of life later on than the children who attributed it to their innate inborn qualities, the children who had a fixed mindset. And so this starts out when we're young, but we can learn anytime to just have a growth mindset and just understand whoever you are right now, you can develop into something more. And in fact, having a growth mindset lets you be more of yourself. It's not about adding on fake things to your personality. It's about stripping away any of the fears and anxieties that you have and actually being your true self. So this isn't about being fake. This is just realizing that you have internal qualities already that you can develop. And having this growth mindset is going to allow you to fear regret more than failure and live the life that's true to you instead of the way everyone else lives. So when you get to the end of your life, you're not going to regret that you didn't live the way you wanted to. And that's what I want for you, and that's what I want for me as well. So let's adopt a growth mindset. One other way to look at having a growth mindset is just to remember some of the things that you're already really good at, that you just take for granted now, that you actually had to learn before, but now it's just natural to you. For example, you're probably pretty good at walking around, but when you first started, you were really bad at it. You probably crawled first. You probably fell down a lot, and I'm pretty sure you cried. And now you walk around like a champ, like it's no big deal. Same thing with driving. You probably drive a car, and when you first started, you probably weren't very good at it. But now you don't even think about it. You're so confident in your driving and your walking, you just do it without thinking. It feels like it's inborn. But with walking, you just don't remember all of the effort it took to learn how to walk because you were too young to remember that experience. But that's how almost everything works. Whatever it is that you want to be, whatever it is that you want to do, you can probably learn it. And that's what having a growth mindset really means. So let's adopt a growth mindset from now on, right now. And then number 3, don't let the people you care about hold you back. Don't let the people you care about hold you back. So many of us prevent ourselves from living the life that we truly want because of the way that we think about the people we care about most. I think this is a big problem for almost everyone. And think about it this way. Think about someone that you really think highly of and that you really care about, someone that's really important to you. And just imagine that they come up to you one day and they tell you, you know what, I would have been my true self. I would have lived the life I really want to live, but I can't because you exist. I can't be me, I can't be happy, and I'm going to get to the end of my life and regret it because you exist. Imagine someone saying that to you, and imagine how that would make you feel. Do you really want someone that you genuinely care about to live with regret? To not be who they are? To not do the things that they want to do? To not be happy? Well, flip that on its head and just realize that if you look at the people around you who you care about as people that are holding you back from being who you are and living your ideal life, and I guess as your jailers, people that are keeping you captive inside of some false reality that isn't you. If you look at your loved ones that way, how loving is that really? I don't think that's very loving. And so I think one big part of living without regret is just realizing that the people who really care about you really do want you to be who you are. They really do want you to live a life that's true for you. And they really don't want you to live with a lot of regrets. And I would say that if someone doesn't want that for you, maybe they don't care about you that much. So again, don't let the people you care about most hold you back from being who you are and living the life you really want to live. And with that being said, now I have a special treat for you. I'm actually going to share a complete module from one of my premium programs called The Confidence Formula. It's one of 11 modules in that program because I think its contents are really important and they can help you out right now. So this module from The Confidence Formula is called Building Healthy Risk Tolerance, and it gives you practical steps that will allow you to act in spite of fear. So if there's something that you really want to do, but you're really afraid to do it, this module is really going to help you with that. It's going to give you those practical steps that you can follow in order to deal with that fear and act anyway. The fear is not necessarily going to go away because, again, it's probably a good thing for us most of the time. But in this module, I actually have a step-by-step process to deal with that fear for those big things that you want to do in your life. So we're going to cut to that right now. I'm going to share that complete module with you, and then I'll meet you right back here. Hey, Jim Wolf here, and welcome to Module 9 of The Confidence Formula, Building Healthy Risk Tolerance. A few months ago, I left a job with a comfortable salary and excellent benefits at a place I really loved working to start my own business and do what I'm doing right now. And that was a really scary experience for me. I was terrified throughout the entire process of leaving that job and starting this business. But when I announced my decision to leave my job and start this business, I was surprised by what some other people were saying to me about it. The very first day that people at my old job found out about what I was doing, a very high-level executive came up to me and kind of whispered to me, I never had the balls to do something like that. And then throughout the weeks right after that, a lot of people said basically the same thing. They were basically communicating to me that they thought what I did took a lot of guts, took a lot of confidence, took a lot of courage. And the way that they were talking about it made it kind of seem like they had the impression that confidence was kind of this magical, mystical thing that I just happened to have and that they didn't have. And I'm 100% certain that that's not the case. I don't have some magical sense of confidence that allows me to take these risks in my life and move toward my vision. Now, in the weeks leading up to my decision to leave my job, most of the time I was fine. But there were several moments where I was completely terrified and almost panicking. One day I was just doing laundry, and as I was walking over to the dryer, I randomly just kind of doubled over in agony from the fear and pain that my decision was causing me. I didn't expect it to happen. It was kind of a sudden attack of fear and panic. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a panic attack, but it doubled me over physically. And so that's the reality of my experience of leaving my job. It was incredibly scary. Not 100% of the time, not every minute of every day, but I definitely didn't have some kind of magical confidence that everything was going to be perfect and that it wasn't a big risk for me and that it wasn't something scary to do. So I knew the reality of that experience of leaving my job and pursuing my vision for my life. But other people seemed to think that I had some kind of internal quality that allowed me to take that action and that they didn't have it and that they wouldn't be able to do the same thing. And again, I know that's not true. So after experiencing all of that, I decided to write a blog post about confidence, and that it's not just a magical thing that some people just have and some people don't. And that blog post got such a big response that I decided to create this product, the Confidence Formula. That was part of the inspiration for me doing this. And because you're so awesome, I actually edited that blog post to fit this program, and I included a PDF of it below this video so that you can download it and print it off or put it on your iPad and you can read it anytime. But in that blog post and in this module, I'm going to go over a few things that actually allowed me to make the decision to leave my job, to leave my safe path, to delay or discontinue my path towards getting a PhD, and to pursue this path of starting my own business and doing what I really want to do and heading for my vision. So that's what we're going to do in this module. I'm going to give you some practical steps that you can take to pursue your own vision in your life and to be able to take risks when they're going to help you get closer to living the life that you really want. So the first thing that's going to help you take those risks is just to use all of the training that we've covered so far in this program. And now I'm going to give you 8 more things that you can do when you're trying to make a decision to go one way or another in your life. And you might need to take a little bit of a risk to move closer to your ideal life. Number 1, we've already talked about this, but reach out for mentoring, coaching, and support. It's almost impossible to take a big risk like this without support from other people. For example, I went and learned from a mentor exactly how to do this kind of a business so that I would have a realistic plan with a high chance of success before I took this big risk. I didn't just leap off a cliff with no plan whatsoever. I felt fairly certain that I could make this work, and that allowed me to take this risk and to leave my job and start this business. Again, that's why mentoring and coaching is so important. People who already have the life that you want can probably show you how to get it as well. So don't try to do everything on your own. Reach out for coaching, mentoring, and support. Number 2, write out the worst case scenario. If you take the action that you're considering, what is the actual worst case scenario that you can think of? Spend some time writing that out. Because not only does getting that out on paper help you deal with that fear, you also see that it's probably not all that realistic. It's really powerful to see what you think the worst case scenario is on paper. So write out the worst case scenario. Number 3, write out a plan for how you're going to actually handle that worst case scenario if it happens. Having a plan for dealing with the worst case scenario should it happen will make it easier for you to take that risk and to take that action. Number 4, write out more likely scenarios. What do you think will really happen if you take the action you're considering? Spend some time writing out some possible scenarios that have a good chance of actually happening. And then ask yourself which scenario is most likely to happen if you take the action that you're considering. And also ask yourself, how likely do you really think it is that your action will lead to the result that you really want? And knowing all that information is going to help you take that action. Number 5, answer these 3 questions. A, why must you take the action you're considering? B, what will happen when you do? And C, what would happen if you didn't take that action? Spend some time writing answers to those questions on paper. Number 6, we already talked about this, but take a long-term perspective. What would your 86-year-old self tell you to do in this moment? Don't disappoint your future self. Can your future self trust you? I encourage you to build your fear of regret. Regret is one of my top 3 enemies in my life. I don't want to get to the end of my life and regret that I didn't take an action. and not living the life that they really wanted to live is one of the top 5 regrets of people who are at the end of their life. And I don't want that to be me, and I don't want that to be you. And if you build your fear of regret, that can become greater than your fear of taking action, and that can help you take those actions that you need to take. So build your fear of regret and take a long-term perspective. Number 7, remember that there are no outcomes and failure is a myth. It goes back to the self-worth module. This action that you're taking seems really big in your mind right now, but whatever happens when you take that action, you're just going to get a result and gain experience. And keeping that in mind will help you move forward. And lastly, number 8, practice facing your fears and taking action. Facing your fears is kind of a muscle that you can develop over time and strengthen. For example, in my own personal growth process, I try to face my fears regularly. My number 1 fear used to be bungee jumping, and so I went and did that. And honestly, it was actually worse than I imagined. But doing that action anyway helped strengthen my confidence muscle. So try facing smaller fears so that when these actions come up that are a little bit bigger, you'll be able to deal with them more easily because you're used to going through that fear. One really easy way that you can do this is to get rid of old stuff. When you get rid of clothing or things in your house, instead of holding on to them, that builds your confidence muscle and your ability to move through fear. Because it's always a scary thing to get rid of something that we perceive as a resource for us. So go through your closets and pick out things that you haven't worn for 12 to 24 months and get rid of them. Donate them. Someone else is going to use them. And that will help you build your ability to face your fears. And if you follow those 8 steps, you're going to be much more likely to be able to take the actions you need to take to move towards your ideal life and your vision for yourself. And again, there's a PDF below this video that you can download and print off if you want that has these 8 steps from the blog post that I wrote. So take that with you if you want. And the last thing I want to leave you with in the Building Healthy Risk Tolerance module is when you're considering an action that's going to take you closer to your ideal life, you can ask yourself, is taking this action going to make me more open or more closed? Is this action going to make me more open or more closed? A lot of times we don't take an action or become who we really are because we want to avoid conflict. We want to avoid temporary disapproval. We want to avoid temporary pain. But just ask yourself, over the long term, is this going to actually open me up more or close me off? Remember that vulnerability is the seed of future confidence oak trees. Vulnerability is the seed of future confidence oak trees. A little bit of vulnerability goes a long way. Leaning into your fears goes a long way. Vulnerability is potential future confidence. Stepping outside of your comfort zone, as long as it's on the way to your ideal life, is potential future confidence. It's the space that your comfort zone can grow into. And again, that's going to make you more confident over time. Remember that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Do you feel tension? Great. Transmute that tension into positive energy that will fuel your path to your ideal life. And all the things that we've talked about in this program and in this module are going to support you all along your journey to realizing your vision for your life and to feeling really confident and feeling really good about yourself. Everything we've talked about is going to help you feel really good about yourself in general and be able to take the actions necessary to move towards your ideal life. And ultimately, that's what we're all trying to do. So anytime you're considering an action that might take you closer to your ideal life, come back to this module or the printout below the video, and these things are going to help you overcome any temporary pain and doubt and fear that you're going to feel before you take that action towards your ideal life. And again, we only need enough confidence to take that action. We're not going to feel comfortable all the time. I was terrified before I left my job. And since the day I left my job, I haven't thought about my old job a single time. But beforehand, it was really scary in my mind. So you are going to feel afraid. You are going to feel fearful. You might experience pain and discomfort along the path to your ideal life. But I encourage you to use the tools in this module and in this program to take action anyway, in spite of all of those feelings, and move boldly in the direction of your dreams. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed that training and that you now have all the tools you need to act in spite of fear and live the life you really want to live, and live a life that's true to you, and live without regret. And because you're so awesome, and as a gift for checking out my website, I created an additional training for you called 5 Fulfilling Success Secrets. You know, so many people either focus on success and they chase achievement after achievement and feel kind of bad about themselves in between. And then there's the other camp who just focuses on fulfillment. And they're not very ambitious, and they don't like the word success or ambition. And usually you either like the word fulfillment or you like the word success. But in my opinion, those things are not mutually exclusive. In fact, I think the best way to live is to be both successful in a meaningful way and to feel fulfilled all along the way. In fact, happiness research has shown that showing gratitude for the things that you already have and also pursuing your true desires, but not making those desires into needs, is probably a way to maximize your level of happiness over the long term. So it's not just about appreciating what you have, and it's not just about going after what you want. It's appreciating what you have and going after what you want. And so success and fulfillment are not mutually exclusive. And so I want to show you how to achieve real, meaningful, fulfilling success. So I'm going to start you down that road in 5 fulfilling success secrets. So click the link below and you'll get instant access. I'll see you there.